All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Coach Luis, health fitness specialist with Exos at Autodesk here. For the first live stretch break of the week, I got a good plan for us. But if there's anything that you guys feel needs a little bit extra love or some stretching, feel free to go ahead and drop it in the chat. We always love to take suggestions here. Always looking to help you guys out specifically. So if you have a suggestion or something's just feeling a little off, go ahead and drop it in the chat. We can work it into the routine here this afternoon. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Giving you guys a second to do any suggestions here. We're still waiting as people are filing in. Give you guys one more minute for that. All right, y'all, it's 3:01. I'm not seeing anything in the chat, so we can go ahead and get it started. If you guys feel inspired throughout the stretch break, go ahead and drop something in the chat. I'll keep an eye out for it. Okay, so today we are starting on the ground. We're going to need for this session just, a piece of ground and some space here. And we're going to start by loosening up the back of those hips. And more specifically, we're going to get into a pigeon pose. So good way to get into the pigeon pose here, guys. We can start in either a hands and knees position, or you can kind of bring it up to a high plank. Either way, we want to drive one of those knees forward. I'm going to start with my right, planting it on the ground. We're going to rotate so that lower leg is about as horizontal to the rest of our body or perpendicular to the rest of our body as we can manage. With it resting here, we're going to try and sink back into that hip, and we can then support our upper body by coming down on the elbows, or you can stay up on the hands. Now, either way, we want this to be relatively comfortable. And as we sink back into that hip stretch, think about 5 or 6 on the intensity scale is where we really want to be at. So if you're feeling like something's going to tear, if you feel like it's your tissues are just coming apart figuratively, ease up on yourself, take it a little bit easier on yourself. We want this to be kind of a relaxing session here on this Monday afternoon. And so in this position, we're breathing, specifically making that stomach balloon up with our inhales. And nice long exhales to deflate. Good job, everybody. Good job. All right, let's come up out of this side. Whatever leg we started with, it's time to do the opposite one next. So we can bring ourselves back into that high plank. And then drive that left knee forward. So left knee is going to plant on the ground. We're going to rotate so that lower leg is perpendicular to the rest of our body. From here, we can kind of sink back into that hip stretch, staying up on the hands or being down on the elbows. Again, medium stretch here, guys, medium intensity. Find that spot, breathe. And as we breathe, we might be able to ease up some of that tension. So if you're starting to feel like it's not as intense as you want it to be, not quite medium, sink back a little further, try and adjust and find that good tension once again. Deep breaths here still, guys. Working out all that tension that we get from sitting and using all those muscles around our hips, especially over the weekend if we're active on the beautiful days like we've been having here in Northern California. I know my hips are sore from all the hikes, just getting outside and enjoying that sunlight. All right, after this next exhale, you guys, you can slowly come up out of that position. You can find those hands under the shoulders once again. Bring yourself up, bring yourself back into that plank position, and then we can rest those knees. Not going to hang out there for too long. Want to give those shoulders a rest. This is not exercise with Exos. All right, next thing that we're going to do, guys, we're going to be in a tall kneeling position. So that means both knees are down on the ground. Take a moment to fold up your yoga mat or find something like a pillow or a pad that's going to make that contact with the ground and the knees more comfortable. If you're on carpet, you might not have to worry. But once we get there, let's come up and let's find some tension in those glutes and through the core here. just so we can keep our torso nice and stable as we stretch out the chest here. So we're gonna take those hands, interlace those fingers behind the back, let those hands get really, really heavy. Open up that chest by pulling the shoulder blades back and away from each other. Keeping that tension through the core and the glutes, we can begin to turn our gaze up a little bit if it's comfortable. Breathe heavily into that chest. Let's try and open that chest up like a big balloon with these inhales. Well done, you guys. Don't lose that core tension here. We don't want to push the hips too far forward. Dump any of that tension into the spine. Want to keep it in the muscles here. Definitely one of my favorites after a long day at the desk, as those shoulders tend to slide forward in front. We got to pull them back, open up that chest. Breathe into all those tissues. Let's do one more big breath. And on that nice long exhale, we can slowly release those hands, give those arms a little shake as they come back down to our sides. All right, you guys. So next up, we're going to come all the way up to our feet, standing position here next. I'm going to move my camera so you guys can get a solid look. Now, this next one, I'm not really quite sure if there's a name for it. If you've been to a Brittany 3 p.m. stretch break on Wednesdays, we do this one a lot. I like it a lot. It's super fun. It feels super good. So with the feet planted about shoulder width apart or maybe a little bit wider, what we're going to start to do is twist side to side. So check your surroundings first. Make sure that when you swing those arms, not going to smack into a chair or a wall or anything like that. I've done that before. It's not very fun. And so as we start to get going with the twist, you'll notice that that back foot can kind of come up. We can keep that big toe in contact with the ground. And we're kind of leading with the hips here. The upper body is just kind of along for the ride. We're twisting through the spine as much as our body will allow us. We're not trying to go super far and wind up like we're swinging a baseball or softball bat here. Just kind of letting it flow side to side. Just twisting, because we typically don't do a whole lot of that these days, sitting at the desk or working from home. Good job, you guys. Definitely one of my favorites as far as stretch breaks go. All right, slowly let yourself kind of come to a stop here, guys. Good job. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to come back to the ground for our final two things. We're mainly going to be working on the spine down here. So let's find our space on the ground, hands and knees to start here. And so with the knees planted under the hips, those hands planted under the shoulders, what we're going to get into is some cat-cow. So basically bending the spine forward and backwards as much as we comfortably can. So let's start by letting that head relax. Kind of come towards the ground. And as we do that, we're also going to push away from the ground, rounding our back up, making a big mountain out of it, pointing that tailbone down towards the ground as well. Push as far as you comfortably can, keyword comfortable, and then we can start to change directions. We're going to go the other way, trying to bring that head up, make a big valley out of the back, and point that tailbone up towards the sky. And now we can start to move at our own pace, just slowly alternating between these two positions. Doing your best to breathe. Fill up that torso with air as we're kind of constantly changing the shape here. Might feel weird, might feel a little awkward. Just do what feels good. Don't always have to force it with specific breathing recommendations here. Just trying to move. Doing something like this is very therapeutic for the spine, really good after a long day of sitting. We're letting some of those discs come back into the right spots between our vertebrae. And doing this kind of helps them get back into those spots. Let's do one more each way, one more big mountain. Let that head relax. And then one more big valley. Still trying to breathe. Go as far as you comfortably can. And then let's bring ourselves right back into the middle. Good job, you guys. Good job. Okay. Finally, we're on the ground on our sides. Go ahead and grab something if you want to keep the head supported here. Pillow or pad is fine. Even yoga blocks work for this. Or you can have the head rested on the ground or floating. We're going to be doing some Pretzel here, guys. So I'm starting on my right side here. And how we get into this funky position, that top leg, so in this case, it's my left knee. I'm driving out forward here. It's going to land on the ground right around hip level. My bottom hand, my right hand is going to anchor that knee down. So next up from here, I'm going to bend that bottom leg, my right leg, and get my left hand to grab my foot/ankle here and pull that heel in towards the glute. So kind of doing a quad stretch on that bottom leg here. I'm now in contact, with my knee here in front. And now the goal here, we want to open up towards the ceiling and try and get that back shoulder as close to the ground as possible. So lots of stretching in a lot of places, big twist here. Once you get into that position, just open up towards the ceiling, see how it feels, find a good position, and just start to breathe. And like I said before, that breathing will help us kind of manage that tension, maybe take some tension away. Maybe it'll allow us to move a little bit more today. Maybe that's tomorrow. Either way, it's okay. Let's just relax into this position and breathe. Good job, guys. Good job. Let's do one more breath after the breath you're on right now. Well done, you guys. After that exhale, slowly release that back leg or that back foot. That leg slowly straighten out. We can kind of turn back over onto our sides, release that front leg. You guys can flip yourselves over. What I'm going to do is turn myself around so you guys can still see my front side. All right, so same deal on the other side. We're just trying to mirror exactly what we just did. So this time, the top leg for me is that right. It's going to come out here in front. Left hand is going to be anchoring that down. Bottom leg is going to bend at the knee. I'm going to grab onto that foot/ankle area. Try and pull that in towards the glute here. Pro tip, you guys, if that's not working, if grabbing the foot or ankle is real tough, go ahead and grab a hand towel, loop it around that foot or ankle. It's going to be a lot easier to grab onto and still control that bottom leg without us feeling like we have to bend through the spine or do an unnecessary amount of twisting to get to that foot. So do what you can. If it's not working, we can always improvise. But then once we are in that position, go ahead and open up towards the ceiling or sky. We're trying to touch that back shoulder to the ground. Just trying to open up and some solid twisting in here. And don't sweat it if you're having a hard time even really opening up here. As you guys can see, my back shoulder is nowhere near the ground, but we still practice so we can always get better. Breathe, relax into that tension. Getting a little more relaxed with each exhale. Let's do 2 more. Good job, you guys. Good job. All right. Slowly, we're going to release that bottom leg. We can release our hold on that top leg as well. Feel free to turn onto your sides or your back. Get up any which way is most comfortable for you. And that is all the time I have left for this stretch break here today, guys. So thank you guys so much for joining me. It's big stuff that we have going on these days. Blood drive throughout the entire month of June. So make sure you guys sign up, get your appointments in, and actually go donate blood. That's what you got to do in order for it to count for the little inter-office competition we have going on. And Summer Shred Step Challenge. So if you guys want to learn more about this one, we do have a lot of info up now on our SharePoint site. So visiting Autodesk One and then typing in Exos at Autodesk will take you to our SharePoint site, which you can find out all the information you need to know about programs, services, events, everything Exos and Autodesk. All right. Thank you guys once again. Coach Luis signing off. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care out there.